All right, so scapular movements. The scap can do 6 things, and most of the time when your shoulder is moving, you're also engaging your scapula whether you knew it or not. So we've got elevation, depression, right? Upward rotation, downward rotation, and that really kicks in with upward once I go past 90 degrees of AB. That's when my scap really starts to come up with it, and you can feel that if you just actively take it up to 90. You can feel that scap start to lift up as you go up over your head, and then returning back down, that's downward rotation. Then the other movement would be protraction, where you think about my serratus anterior on my ribs. They're grabbing that edge of my scap and they're pulling it around my rib cage. So that could also be considered abduction of my scaps, and then retraction or adduction of my scaps, pulling my shoulder blades together. And that would look like here, squeezing, where you can see wrinkles in the back of my shirt. I'm retracting my scapula. Here, I'm protracting my scaps. And think of them like plates going around my rib cage. So abduction or protraction, adduction or retraction. Now, let's talk about planes and axes. Because this is a very odd joint, it's a gliding joint, literally gliding over the surface of the rib cage, most of these actions are non-axial, okay? When we go elevation, depression, it's gliding over the surface of my ribs. There's no axis there. Some people like to say that that's frontal plane, but really, we're curved in a little bit. It's not flat as a pancake, 180 degrees. We're talking about coming in a little bit. A lot of people like to reference that as a scapular plane for the sake of your hat jaw. Absolutely say frontal plane, totally fine. Non-axial though. For upward and downward rotation, same thing. You can say frontal even though it's a little bit scapular, but it is non-axial. You're not sticking a rod through the scap and it's rotating about that. It actually shifts out and then up a little bit. It's gliding over the surface of the rib cage. Now, for protraction and retraction, going around the rib cage, if you envision that poster board from the very beginning of the semester rotating, that is a transverse planar movement with a longitudinal, vertical, or superior inferior axis. So there's the 6 movements of the scap, and we've gone through the planes, and the only one that is axial, the only set would be protraction and retraction of the scapula.